Namaste, beautiful yogis. Welcome to Ali Kamenova Yoga. I'm Ali, and we're getting a little bit of sunset magic here. There it is, beautiful, golden, just gorgeous. And I'm going to talk about two things today: the transformation program. So we're doing a transformation program, and I'm focusing on different styles of classes as always. Anything from strength to fluidity to somatic. So really connecting with your own body in a deeper way, so that you can really guide movement with a different sense of connection to your body, with a different awareness. And here is a little copy. Anyways, so in today's video, without making it long, I'll try to keep it short. I want to talk about balancing hormones from the perspective of movement and from the perspective of overall health, circadian rhythms, and herbs. I would like to touch upon a few herbs that I personally love. There's so many herbs and they're all so helpful, and I find that if there is one category in which herbs are extremely helpful, that will be reproductive health. Ages, they're extremely helpful in the case of reproductive health. Liver health as well as other aspects of health. In all cases, you do have to combine it with diet and with movement and with all the other elements of health that we all know about: exercise and circadian rhythm regulation. All right, so I'm shooting here in front of my spring sprouts. Hopefully they will work really well. When we talk about somatic movement or movement and hormones, I feel that is just the peak of balancing the body. If we expose the body to the right amount of movement that is both nutritive, nourishing, relaxing, and strengthening, that is kind of where it is at. But it takes years for me, in my experience of actual conscious practice, in order to figure out how to move less with more awareness and to create more. I find that the more conscious connection I create, I need less of that exercise, and it opens up space in the rest of my life. I have more room for other things in my life, but I create this deep, profound calmness and internal connection through in the practice of somatic movement. Somatic movement shouldn't be a category of its very own. Me as a yoga teacher, I strive to create somatic experience within the movement session, within the exercise. If there is one secret to be had, to be learned from the yoga classes, it's the somatic experience, knowing how to go into the areas of the body that store shock and trauma, and to continuously release that. That is it. That is the secret. And sometimes it will require a little more if the shock is trickier or it's in a new area. And if it's chronic, then it will have to go in over and over until we clear it. But that is, in essence, that is. Let me remove this. I have a bottle. That's actually a bottle of water, but it's on the outside it says Oxy. But this is my water for spraying. But it's not the cutest for a video. But I reuse whatever I have here for the garden. I was on a tangent here. The more we go into the body with consciousness and awareness, and a capacity to connect, to tune in, to really experience the body, the more we can move things out of the body, and that ultimately creates a space where healing can occur. We're releasing of trauma and shock can happen, and that is the ultimate healing. If we get into that space, we are going to experience we'll have a different experience of life. I feel that we can give ourselves healthier, let's say, years while we are here in this physical form, and that is kind of the maintenance mechanism we have. It is really beautiful light, but very bright. I wonder if I should move some more shadier so that I can see something. Let's see. All right, we moved away from the beautiful sunset. I still see it a little bit. I can see kind of, but at least I'm not squinting too much. And now you get to see my my herbal garden there. Those are I make teas from the herbal garden, and I would like to expand that garden a lot more. And that is because let's see, we're gonna talk about some of these herbs, so I guess it makes sense to be near that garden. All right, so we spoke about the somatic experience, somatically releasing and clearing the body. That I can talk all day about it, but it has to be physically experienced. It has to be viscerally, somatically experienced. It has to be somatic in order to really make sense. You can all day long talk about spirituality, but if you don't have internal connection to, if you don't have that divine fire within, that experience within, all of it is just kind of filling up space, time with theology. Same with somatic. We can talk a lot about it, but it has to be an experience, and that's why I'm dedicating all my classes to that at this point, whether they're strong classes, yin classes, whether it is about the abs or the glutes. I want that experience to be woven all the way through. With diet, it has to be processed and whole and seasonal and all of that in order to really support the internal organs, to support the body. Now, if you know your type in Ayurveda, if you're Pitta or Kapha or Vata, you kind of go by that. I am a strong Pitta type, so that is fire. My digestion runs hot, and I tend to do really well with a cooling diet and with cooling herbs. When we talk about hormonal, now today I'm just going to speak about hormonal herbs. Hormonal herbs, I will start with the herbs that detox the liver, because the liver removes excess estrogen in the body, and most of us do have issues with the excess estrogen due to the xenoestrogens in the diet, due to the too much toxicity in the general environment. So if we get the liver to remove all of that, to work properly, then we're that much ahead. Dandelion comes to mind as a food herb. We can use it as a food, you can use it as an herb, and it really helps with liver health and optimizing the liver. Movement can really tune up the liver as well. Sleeping is really important. So regulating your system through the natural light and darkness cycle. Native light with a lot of red light in the sun, and darkness at night without too much excessive artificial lighting, and definitely avoiding LEDs. It will take you that much forward in your detox and also hormonal balance, because essentially, I was reading a post in one of the accounts I follow. All hormones essentially are regulated by the circadian rhythms, by the light and dark cycle, all of them, ultimately. And then if we get movement and exercise and sleep and diet correctly, then we have, and light and darkness, then we have supplements and herbs. And herbs to me come before supplements. And then essential flower essences are really powerful for me because they work on the spiritual body. They work on the emotional body. Evening primrose, I'm just gonna go through a list of herbs I love myself, and a lot of them will work for a lot of you and some of them will not, and you have to research and see and try and see what works for you. I have a list because otherwise I'll forget. There is a million herbs to be had. Getting cold without the sun. All right, so there's a million herbs to be had. Evening primrose oil, I love it. It's really good. It's really good for uterine health. It protects the liver and the pancreas, balances the menstrual cycle, good for PCOS, improves PMS, menopause, menopausal symptoms, and it can be really good for skin issues like eczema, dermatitis, acne, etc. Another one I really like in combinations, I include it in combinations, is black cohosh. It's for dark, depressing moods, kind of weeping, like really kind of more of that archetype of like a little bit of a darker, depressing state of emotionality, or like archetype. It can be good for hot flashes, cycle regulation, for menstrual cramps, depression. I like it in combination with others, in small amount with other herbs. I really like it. The one that I really like a lot, and it's not the first herb that certain herbalists would recommend because it's a little bit harsh, it's Vitex. I do love it in small quantities. I can't take it in really large quantities because it makes me nauseous. It really upsets my, like it makes me absolutely feel kind of sick. But in small quantities, it's extremely regulating. I like to take it only right before my period, so that's it, not throughout the cycle. At the most at ovulation. Nowadays I know when I'm ovulating exactly, I can pinpoint it. So I could potentially take it at ovulation. Typically that's it. I don't take it through the entire month. It's really good for fertility, any fertility issues, PMS, hormones, milk production, breast pain, uterine fibroids, emotional purging. So sometimes it can help with emotional purging, things that are stored in that kind of reproductive part of the body. Because we do store in areas, I know it's kind of counterintuitive, but we do. It's not a gentle herb, but it regulates the pituitary gland and ovulation, and it can balance progesterone estrogen levels, which is phenomenal. I find it extremely helpful. As I said, dandelion for the liver. There is so many herbs for the liver. Anything bitter in the food is also great. Avocado is good for the liver. It's also a yin, cooling, fertility food. I like anything cooling for me. For my personal situation, I gravitate towards cooling herbs. I do really poorly with heating herbs, like the ginsengs, ashwagandha. I can have in tiny bits, but that's it. Now, if you run towards cold digestion, you're gonna want to put more ginger in your teas, more cinnamon, maybe the ginsengs, the ashwagandhas, those more heating herbs. Reishi is in and cooling, and it tends to, if I'm balanced, I feel balanced and I take it during the day, it will not take me out of balance, where certain other herbs can take me out of balance. So reishi, I find it very good for supporting your sleep cycle, very good for calming you down. Some people claim it can give you energy if you need energy. I don't necessarily feel it that way. It just doesn't take me out of balance, and I love that because it's a great herb. Now cleavers is so good. I make a tea with cleavers, oat straw. Oat straw is very nutritive, high in calcium, calms the nervous system. It's calming but nutritive. It's amazing. Cleavers removes, cleans the lymphatic system. It can remove cysts from the ovaries, fibroids, anything related to lymphatic stagnation. It's amazing. So cleavers and oat straw and pau d'arco is anti-inflammatory. So when you say inflammation, usually you can imagine red hot. Anything that removes inflammation is a little on the cooling side. Red raspberry, so good, also cooling, also tones the internal organs and the fascia. So it can if the internal organs are a little saggy and the fascia is a little loose, it's not toned, it tends to work on the fascia and on the toning. If there is prolapses and stuff, it's really good. It's also used for before birth, after birth. It reduces heat. It's a little dehydrating though. It's cooling and drying. Drying herbs are really good for wet conditions when there is edema and just retention of water and kind of a wet condition with more mucus, more fungal issues. Drying herbs are fantastic. Ashwagandha, as I said, it's heating. I can take it in small amounts. If you run very cold, probably in higher amounts. So it's all a matter of experimenting and starting small. That's why I buy them in powders, in droppers. It's good. Ashwagandha can balance kapha and vata really well, so it's really good for the reproductive system in those cases. Vitex, of course, is cooling, releases exterior wind, heat, enters the liver and stomach and urinary bladder meridian, and it is bitter. Bitter, for me, it's amazing. I like bitter herbs because they also are cooling, and that just is the energetics that I'm at. But that's why you kind of tune in, see what works for you. You also, if you want to take, for example, a cooling herb like Vitex, you can take it with cinnamon and just create a certain amount of balance and see how it works. And sometimes Vitex will not work for many people. It can be aggravating. But in general, it balances the hormones so well that if you combine it with movement and diet and the other herbs that are complementary, it can be really helpful. Flower essences are another topic that can help with the health of the emotions, but that's for another time. I hope I just kind of gave you an idea about herbs that I personally love, and if you have any questions, let me know.